Today we're touring Boho camper vans, a business that was featured on Shark Tank not too long ago. And in the last 6 years of them building that company right there, they've got it to $15 million in sales. We're about to talk to David and Brett, the two friends that started Boho camper vans, and we're gonna pick their brain about how they got started, how they manufacture their vans, how they build everything that it takes, and also the fact that they rent out 12 of their vans as well. So I can't wait to take you on the tour of the entire business, and make sure you stay to the very end. So what do we got in here? I mean, this is a bigger van. This is one of your nicer ones. This is actually one of the ones that you go and you do all the shows and everything with, correct me if I'm wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this one's been all over. We're leaving for Colorado in a few weeks, but this one was just up in Oregon. And so this is just showing off what we can do, right? Yeah. So as we kind of like look inside, you can see that we call this the Old Faithful layout, but it does have some modifications. So that usually means we're doing the kitchenette behind the driver. We're doing a face-to-face sofa area with a pull-out table. And this is an addition. So we actually moved the sink over here. And the first thing you see when you come in is actually an indoor shower.
Yeah.
This is called a Tetravan shower. And what's really cool is it's only takes up about 6 inches of depth. So it's super space saving. You stand right in the pan. This is a magnetic curtain that comes out of the bag, comes all the way up to the top.
Yep.
And then once you're inside, you have your, your mixing handle, you have your shower head. You can shower inside, and all the water drains down on this slight slope to the gray water tank underneath.
Wow, so indoor and outdoor shower.
That's what we have in this one for sure.
And we'll tour the outdoor shower in a minute. Yeah, so is this, like, talk to me about how many different types of configurations. I know that you guys do a lot of custom build outs for customers and stuff like that, right? When a customer comes and they, they call you guys or they go on your website or whatever, like, is it just infinitely customizable, or are there different kind of layouts that people can choose from? I know you said you have the sink over here. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So it's customizable really however people want it, but we do have 5 called spec layouts on our website. Since we've built a lot of vans, we know really what works well, and so we have sort of a template to start with for call it 5 layouts. Yeah. But most often everyone's wanting to move something or add something or change something, and we're happy to do it because maybe they have a really good idea that we haven't thought of, right? And so call it infinite amount of layouts, but for a space that's, call it 20 feet in length and 75 inches wide, right? Yeah. How much can you do in that space?
Sure. Yeah.
A lot.
A ton. Talk to me a bit about the the stuff that you're using, the material that you're using in here. We talked a little bit before the video, right, about a lot of the material you guys use is very, very quality material. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Definitely. One of the problems with RV industry and the rap it's gotten is just poor materials. Laminates, glues, particle boards, which is just not natural. There's off-gassing, it falls apart. So we took an approach of using quality materials. You can just see just from this angle, right? We're using butcher block. This is actually a Baltic birch that has a scratch-proof laminate over it that you can pick any color. And this one we chose black. But even just behind the walls, right? What you can't see is insulation, right? So that's really where everything starts, and we use hemp wool, which not many people have heard of. It's a hemp fiber, and it actually is a really, really great insulator. It's all natural. It's comparable to sheep's wool, which you'll hear a lot of people using, but it's vegan, right? So we cater to that market, and it's just nice because it's a great company that we work with, Hempitecture, and it's a really cool, innovative product, and it works well for this application.
Talk to me about the different amenities. I'm just going to go up here real quick. So obviously, refrigerator down here. Induction stove.
Correct.
Okay. We got a microwave, a sink. Of course, we have the shower in there. I mean, you could fully live out of this van.
You can, and not only do you have everything to cook and clean and wash up, but you have full temperature control in this model, and most models we build. So, one, you have the fan, which is an air mover, which is great on a comfortable day where you just need some airflow. But in this one, we also have off-grid heat. So we're running a off-grid heater from Eberspacher that actually ties into the fuel tank of the van, which allows you to run heat like you would at home with a thermostat, but it uses very, very little electricity. It's usually fuel from the gas tank. Very efficient, uses about 1/10 of a gallon of gasoline per hour. So that's a really good way to keep the van cozy. And then we also have an off-grid AC system. And this is a new product that we just started installing from Cruise & Comfort. It's a 48-volt system. And the beauty of it is most AC units are going on the roof. This one is going underneath the van, which allows us to put more solar on the roof, which is a great way to generate more power, stay off-grid longer.
How much solar do you have on the roof of the van that we're standing in right now?
1,000 watts.
1,000 watts of solar. Okay, very cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the van.
You got it.
So you obviously did something really cool, and I was telling you guys a little while ago, right? And you mentioned it first on your rental vans, but you got all the plexiglass, so you can actually see all the different things that are going on there, right? Which is really unique.
Yeah, we like to show off our electrical systems because it's very important to build electrical system with quality components, right? It's more safe, it works better. Selfishly, there's less support calls, and so we like to show it off, whereas most van builders or RV companies, they're hiding the systems, right? This is an awesome, big, powerful system with a combination of technology from Dragonfly Energy, which makes battle-borne batteries, as well as Victron, which is all the blue stuff. Victron was traditionally started with off-grid sailing vessels, so people's lives are on the line. We're using the same technology to ensure that you have power when you need it, and you can stay off-grid longer. But yeah, we're showing off this system, which is the first of its kind, and this is something we're showing off at all the shows we're going to. So we're running 13 kilowatt hours of battery power. We're generating power from the solar on the roof, which is being stored through the controller and into these batteries here. And then we're also generating power from just running the vehicle engine through some of these components you can see through the plexiglass called the wake speed. And then we're looking at the everything's kind of tied together so we can monitor the battery power in a very easy way.
Sure. And of course we have another outdoor shower right here.
Another shower.
Right? So 2 showers in this particular build out. You can take this shower head, you said you can put it on the door, or I guess on this door, either side, and shower right outdoors.
It's the best way to do it, right? You can shower inside if you really need to, but who doesn't like naked showers in the woods?
Exactly. And then of course we have the table right here that you guys built in, and then obviously it's just for cooking, just for hanging out.
Features, people are hanging out, they want to put their cup of coffee here or their cocktail, right? So just kind of adding, it's a small space, so adding flexibility and features that fit and just make life easier when you're out camping.
Sure. And then just out of curiosity, like this particular van, I know this is one of the top of the line vans that you guys have, right? What would it cost if I wanted to buy this, completely done, completely built right now today?
Just like this, we'd be just under $200,000.
Okay. So, I mean, honestly, not terrible when you consider that the van itself, you mentioned, would be like 60 grand, right?
Exactly.
Just to buy the van.
Yeah, and our price point in the market is actually pretty affordable. $200,000 at other companies would get you half this power.
Sure. And just out of curiosity, like, can people finance vans like this? I mean, are there different people who will actually finance that?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a lender that works with us. They love doing camper van and Class B RV finance deals.
Cool.
And so yeah, you can get right in with financing, so you don't have to just pay full cash.
Yeah.
For the longest time, that was really the only way to do it.
Yep.
That's changed.
All right, Brett, so talk to me a little bit about what in the world made you get into, Boho vans?
Yeah, so David might have talked to you a little bit about it. Maybe you've seen it, but he went on a trip, came back and said, could you help me build a camper van? And I came from a machining background and grown up doing that my whole life and sold some manufacturing equipment. And I was like, yeah, no problem. We can put some wood in a van and build a bed and put a sink in. And that's how the whole dream kind of came together with Stevie, the very first van that we did. And then it grew into this. And, when we first started, it was, let's make $500 a month, some extra beer money probably. And now it's, grown into, 25,000 square feet, 20 employees. So it's kind of beyond the expectation where we thought it would do from the humble beginnings. but it's been fun the whole time.
Yeah, it's so cool, and I'm so excited to be here. Talk to me a little bit about where were you at when you went on Shark Tank? I know that a lot of people are probably watching the video right now. What even made you want to go on Shark Tank? And then did you have any of this when you went on Shark Tank?
Yeah, so when we went on Shark Tank, we were just in like 4,500, maybe 5,000 square feet in a small space that had like a really small front office and 2 overhead bay doors in the back. That the shop was, like I said, maybe 3,000 square feet. So we could only fit 2 vans in to work at a time. That's when we went on Shark Tank, and David just sent in 2 online submissions for us. And they ended up calling me, and it was a real phone call, and they were like, hey, this isn't a prank. This is, NBC Shark Tank. Just want to let you know you guys are in the running for potentially being on, right?
Yeah.
And then the whole process starts from there. So that was really how it started, an online entry, and we saw it all the way through to the end, and we were fortunate enough to get Barbara Corcoran as a partner as it all kind of unveiled.
And how much would you attribute to being on Shark Tank and that airing to the success, following that?
Yeah, it was definitely a huge boost, right?
Yeah.
So going on the show, Dave and I probably had a little bit of an easier way of managing the stress because we were actually just became profitable. So the company, David had quit his job, and I was in the process of quitting my job. And we went on being like, well, we don't necessarily need a shark, but let's try to get this advertisement.
Yeah.
The $1 million advertisement that we couldn't afford even, today, paying for an advertisement like that. So doing that, we went in, kind of pretty loose. And then having that after the effect, I mean, we saw hundreds and hundreds of emails coming in, and it was pretty great that you get the reruns too.
Yeah.
So every time we get a rerun, we'll come in and there'll be hundreds of emails sitting in the inbox on a Monday because maybe it re-aired like on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah. And when you were on Shark Tank, correct me if I'm wrong, and then we're going to go tour everything and see how you guys actually build everything. But I watched the episode a few times, so I think it was in 2019 or 2020, you guys were at like 400 grand in top line revenue, right? But your profit margins were insane at that time. I mean, they were like, what, 40% profit margins at that time?
Yep. And that's it, it still rings true. We've actually been able to kind of consolidate on some of our manufacturing practices. So our profit margins are still right around there, maybe a little bit higher. But then, that's gross.
Sure.
Once you kind of start factoring in all your light bills and your insurance and all this stuff and employees' wages, you're down a little bit lower than that. But with that, it was something that we were a profitable company with good margins going on the show. I think that's what actually drew a lot of the sharks into us. Yeah. Right? And so to today, Dave and I have always kind of been chasing like a number to do at monthly sales, and we're really close. And we're kind of seeing that in the coming months, we probably should see that revolving number hit month after month.
Very cool. Well, let's go ahead and take a tour.
Cool. Sounds good. So here we have the relatively empty shell of the van. It really does, as you see from home building, it's like building a house out. So we start with our subfloor that we're putting in. We're actually insulating under our subfloor. And then customers get to choose what color they want for flooring. Oh, cool. So they can kind of choose any color, but we kind of have 4 standard colors that we use, like a nice light beach color, or you can go all the way to like a dark walnut. The interior then will get framed out, and then we'll get insulation in, and then we'll get our main subwalls up. Sure. And then all the wires and everything are obviously plumbed in, and all of our plumbing. So this one looks like electrical will be on this side, and then all of our water system will be on this side. So then that's all behind our walls, but just like you build a house. Yeah.
When did you guys evolve? Because I remember from watching Shark Tank, right? The initial Fords that you were building out. Yeah. What are the Fords called that you guys were building?
The Econolines.
Okay, So when did you kind of evolve from building those out to kind of building, now you do what, 3 or 4 different types of vans?
Yeah, so that basically, we kind of moved out of that one after Shark Tank, to be honest. Yeah. And we had some dealerships that were calling us, and one of them was a partner, James Dewey from Chapman, shameless plug here, but he actually was the first one to reach out to us, and he said, hey, I can supply you guys brand new chassis. And Dave and I always knew like the scalability of the company was a little bit leery on trying to find used vans in really good quality. Well, you get a brand new van, the best quality that you can get right up the assembly line. And so then that evolved us from only really working on some of the Dodges, but mainly the Ford Econolines, to now we build on the Ford Transits and the Mercedes Sprinters, and so a lot of them are the Ram ProMasters. Mainly the Ram ProMasters, customers see that because we use those primarily in our rental fleet, but we've done a bunch of Sprinters and a bunch of Ford Transits.
Which one's your most popular? If you had to say, hey, this is the one that sells the most, which one would it be?
Currently, it's the ProMaster for sure. I think the lift of getting into the market with the ProMaster at the price point, super high quality vehicle for sure. They're, we've seen them used in, like electrical fleets and anybody else that is using it as a cargo van that they get kind of beat the snot out of. So Ram and Sprinter and Transit, they kind of get that history of people really using them as a utility vehicle. So that's, kind of breed a sense of quality into the manufacturing process from the OEMs themselves. But just kind of go by the numbers, and we built more Rams, than we built of the Transits and the Sprinters. But, like I said, we have all the chassis covered as far as some of the layouts that you saw or you're going to be seeing. We can build that exact layout or any of our layouts on all three manufacturers' chassis.
Very cool, yeah. So where does it go from here? Talk to me about, okay, we get the flooring in, we got all of our subfloor, now what? I mean, is there another van maybe we can look at and see kind of the next stage?
I think we move over to these guys.
Awesome.
We got Eric and Trey, they're knocking this guy out. So you can see all of the flooring's obviously all in because that goes in first. Subwalls are up, and they're actually working at doing the red cedar finish on the walls, so we're kind of getting some of the finishing wood going in. You can see our water system is in here right now. So a lot of our components are coming out as singular kit components, so we completely build this water enclosure outside of the van in our prefab area. And so it's able to be put in and plumbed into the wall just like we were talking, along with the electrical connections made. Same will happen with our electrical system. It's completely built outside of the van and then put in, connections are made.
How big of a water tank are you running here?
So this one is 28 gallons.
Oh wow, okay.
Right, so 28 gallons, plus we got another 4 gallons of hot water. So we're sitting at 32 gallons.
That's awesome. And then do you do all this cedar in pretty much every van?
Yeah, so that's kind of our thing, right?
Yeah.
To try to make it like a homey log cabin, inviting, where you're not kind of in a stale environment that you're like, it's getting us to where we want to go. It's providing us some shelter, right? We want it so when people sit in them, and why we offer so many features as far as getting to customize cabinetry, and this one potentially, this one has a larger window over the kitchen where that's going to be, but people can choose backsplashes, everything. We want it where you step into it and it invites you in.
Yeah.
Right, and that's kind of the feel that we want people to get when they go to our product.
Yeah, it's so cool, and so how long does it take to get to this stage right here on average?
So this van, Trey will yell and tell you I'm lying, but they honestly been working on this van for 3 weeks.
Okay.
So by the end of this week, all this red cedar work will be done. We'll have the electrical system sitting and ready to be wired up. We're building vans in about 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay.
Right now.
And then how many are you building at any given time? I know you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of sitting in here right now. Is that about the number that you'll try to work on?
With our current staff right now, we're doing 5. We actually just hired a couple new guys on. Trey's one of our newer guys.
What's going on, Trey?
So we're actually scaling up our production right now. Have been seeing a boost in sales over the last 5-6 months. Which, sales are hard to come by a year and a half ago. We were struggling along, just to be honest. We were trying to fight for 2, 3, 4 van sales a month. But now we're vastly over that. We're kind of back to some of the older numbers that we were at. And so scale production back up along with some of the manufacturing practices that we fine-tuned. And so it leads to a higher output with maybe a little bit less staff, but still a super high level of quality is where we always sit.
Sure, So now kind of the goal might be 7 or 8 vans a month.
Exactly.
Give or take.
Get back up to those numbers between 7 to 10 vans a month. That's really where we're looking to and we're at the cusp of that right now, of hitting that 7 van a month number and getting up into that 7 to 10.
I remember you saying on Shark Tank that you were doing about 800 grand that year. Your projection, your goal for that following year was 1.9. Did you end up hitting the goal?
We did get the goal. Okay. Yeah, we exceeded that. I think we ended up doing 2.1 to 2.2, I believe, was the following year, and gross that we've done since the beginning of the company, we've done about 15 million.
What's been one of the biggest challenges in building the vans and scaling to where you are today, in your opinion?
I'd say just possibly the changing of designs, right? So we could choose one design and we could pump that design and tell everybody this is what you want. But we offer it up to a, we're figuring out how to scale a custom van build. So that comes with, manufacturing, of like standard components. Well, they can't be super standard because, you gotta change a cabinet length, or you gotta change a kitchenette length. But with our actual new programming software and things like that, using technology to our advantage, we're able to kind of have a standard component that we can grow and shrink and manipulate really fast and allow for a scalable speed of an operation, along with offering customers, the freedom to choose something that they want and not something that they're kind of maybe forced into because that's what's available.
Sure. What does the average van cost? I mean, I know that we talked a little bit about the van that we looked at in the showroom for, I think it was Del Rey.
Yep.
But what is that like average, or what would you say the average is?
Yeah, so we've seen our builds, they start at $43,000. We've had some real expensive ones up over $100,000. I believe they're around $105,000 to $106,000 was just expensive standard build that somebody did. But we're seeing the average since the beginning of the year. We ran the numbers just like a month ago. The average build right now is $67,000.
Okay. Yep.
And that's, having an air conditioner, having a heater, full water systems, water heater, and maybe a couple exterior modifications as well. So it's still a pretty robust package for that number.
How important is the building that we're in and all of the equipment? And maybe you can kind of just show me some of the different machines and stuff that you're using to get to those numbers. I'm sure, like when you first started, I mean, you would have never been able to do 7 or 8 a month, right?
No, exactly. Yeah. Like, we're hoping to build 2 to 3 a month, right? And that was like, boy, sure hope we can get to those numbers, right?
Sure.
So a lot of this is part of like the custom work, right? So the guys are coming over here, they're needing to cut their red cedar to length on the chop saws.
Sure.
We're using the table saws for some other more custom work. But the big thing that we've turned on is our CNC machine capabilities, to be honest. And that has really allowed us to push the envelope as far as the speed at which we can put together like everything, and also different materials that we can start working with as well.
I have to ask, we have a bunch of stuff, a bunch of wood and stuff back here, right? As you've continued to scale, have you found that ordering stuff in bulk has, reduced some of your fixed cost, if you will? And are you ordering in bulk, or are you just going to the local Home Depot and buying, all the wood and everything like that?
Gone are the days of Home Depot, for us. We love Home Depot. It is something like not only the cost of materials, logistics. Logistics over the years, the past years have gone up quite a bit. So we're using hemp wool as our main insulation.
And where does this go?
So this goes in the doors, behind all the walls. You can touch it. It's not like insulation that you'd have at house with fiberglass. Or, like the.
That's why I was hesitant to touch it.
No, so it's actually just wool combined with hemp, and so it's actually not bad read. You can touch your skin. It's
won't
super
make
non-caustic.
you itch.
100%. We've all been in the attic, and you get out of the attic, and you're like, oh no, like you're getting in the shower immediately trying to get up. Super user friendly, environmentally friendly. So it's a big benefit add to us.
And that insulates it really well.
Super well. And especially you can see how dense the mat is. It actually allows for a really good acoustic dampening as well on the walls. So not only do we get, it's about an R13 rating, we also get that acoustic barrier as well.
Wow.
So quiets the van down the road and in campsites when you close the van up.
So talk to me about the machine that we have right here. When did you actually get that machine?
We got this machine 3 years ago. We kind of pitched to the Sharks. They're like, what are you gonna do with the money? And I think my joke was like, well, I'm gonna take the money and I'm gonna put it into manufacturing equipment. This is really more of my background, is bringing the technology of high production to our facility. Before, it was hard. Like I said, we had 2x2s, 2x3s. It might take us a day and a half to frame it, electrical installation. Now, I said, we do that all in under an hour.
And it's all because of that machine right there?
Yeah, this along with some fixturing component, like fixturing machines that we have. Yes, absolutely. Like the benefit add of this machine is tremendous to our group.
I bet, And how much does a machine like that cost? Just out of curiosity.
This machine right here is about $70,000.
Wow, so not cheap.
No, not cheap, you know, and you always think about the scaling of the company and thinking a bit like that number in the back of your head, be like, we're gonna have another $70,000 to $80,000 purchase coming up soon.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so what are they doing kind of all throughout this back portion of your space here?
Yeah, so right now we actually, like I said, with the machine able to produce parts that we can assemble faster, this is what we call our prefab area, right? So Tyler and Sid mainly man this on their own, and they're able to keep up with the guys on the build side because of the speed and come together. So Tyler has built a cabinet down there, that one's actually a kitchenette. Okay. So we can get those built in we took that down from about 3 to 4 days to build. That Sydney can cut a kitchenette on our CNC in the morning. Tyler can have that finished and to the build guys by the afternoon.
Really?
So completely in one day, cut down from 4 days.
Wow, let's go check it out if you don't mind. Yeah,
absolutely. So this being the kitchenette, sink over there, gray water under there. We have a refrigerator that will fit in here. This customer is actually looking for a secret compartment, right? So this is kind of like little added features, maybe it hopefully blends in enough with the whole face of the kitchenette. Yeah. But this is kind of how it comes together. So this will have been built by Tyler. I saw him start on this yesterday. But now we're back into custom woodwork. Yeah. Right? So as you'll see on the show van Del Rey, a lot of these are coming out in laminates that we can choose basically any color that we want, right? So we're kind of getting away from a lot of like the painting and like retouching up to, as you can even see in here, we're actually using the laminates in a lot of these faces that we get to pull them off the CNC, assemble them, and finish the edges, and it's ready to go into production.
I hope you're enjoying the business tour so far. Really quick, if you wouldn't mind, if you know of a business that you think would be a really cool tour, or if you own a business that you would like to get featured, all you have to do is text 480-418-5339, the word business, okay? Again, 480-418-5339, the word business, and we'll see if you qualify or if the business qualifies for us to go ahead and tour it. Now let's just go ahead and get back to the tour. Can somebody buy a van, bring it to you, and then you build it, or do they have to go through one of your connections to actually buy the van?
We love it when customers, that kind of get, they have a friend at a dealership, or they found a really good deal on like an aftermarket vehicle, right? So we do take in all the vans that are in the production, besides ones that we own that maybe we're putting into our rental fleet. Those are owned by end users that they have brought to us rather. And the connections that we help people make is, I don't really exactly know where to go get a van, so we have connections, like I said, with all three, the upfitters. So Sprinter, Ford, or if we have like a ProMaster, somebody wants that, we can help them out and get them in touch with a car salesman that they know our builds, they know what components the customer should have, maybe a more powerful alternator for charging the electrical system, but then tell them like, don't add windows, or don't do this, don't do that, and then those salespeople will get to, really help the customer into a better experience with us, because sometimes we've had it where a van shows up, it's got a whole ton of stuff in it, and we're removing a lot of it. And they're like, well, could we sell the flooring, or could we sell this or that? And it's like, I mean, you can take it if you wanted, but we got no use for it.
All right, David, talk to me a little bit about the rental side of your business. So I know that, you're known, right, with Shark Tank and everything like that, and all the marketing you guys have done for building vans, for other people, but of course, you rent them too. So this is actually a rental that you guys have on your fleet. How many total rentals do you have?
Right now, I believe we're running 8, and it usually varies between 8 and call it 14. Okay. It's hard to get rentals in sometimes because we've been so busy building for clients, but we slide rentals in when we can, and we retire them too. So after about a year and a half, like the rentals come down and then they go back up as we build more. So this is one of our, this one's maybe about 6 months old.
Cool. And tell me a little bit about this van in particular. Are all of your rentals built on the same type of chassis? Are they all pretty similar build outs? I mean, I'm sure that when it comes to, being in the business of renting vans out, they've all probably got to be fairly similar, right?
Yeah, we built our business on the Ram ProMaster chassis, which is what we've been building a lot of, but we also do build on Ford and Mercedes, as we said. But we like the Ram purely because, as a rental company, it's nice to not always give everybody big off-road capability. You know, we want the vans to be
come back in
to
one
come
piece.
back, right?
Yeah.
They always do. So yeah,
Yep.
we actually started as a rental company. We started on Ford chassis on the shorter vans, but naturally kind of evolved into vans you can stand inside, right?
Sure.
So this is going to be what you're going to typically see as a layout and feature-wise on our current rental fleet. And so yeah, this one can actually seat 4 people. I have 2 young boys. So when we do go out, we can lift up these floor covers and we can drop in a double seat. And then we have 4 seat belts all facing forward, ready to go. But since most of our renters are actually couples, we don't always have to have 4, and this makes it really nice to go out with 2 without having an extra seat that you won't use.
If you brought your 2 kids, right, and you put the little seat here, the bench seat, would they be sleeping here at night?
Yeah, you know, ideally, but maybe, you know, they take the bed and I'm ended up sleeping on the pull-out.
There you go.
But the beds are comparatively, you know, the same size, right? They're basically both full. One's just a sofa during the day and one's more of a dedicated bed all the time.
How wide is this van? Like if you were sleeping like sideways right there, how wide?
So with the cutouts, which we do in the bed area, we're looking at 75 to 76 inches.
Okay.
But without those cutouts, so call it in the living space, we're getting about 71, 72.
Cool. Can you, maybe we can get up in here,
Sure.
and you can walk me through like what all is included when you know, if I called you up right now and said, hey, I want to rent this thing out, I want to drive up to Sedona, what do I have to bring with me? Like, do you have anything stocked in here for me?
Yeah, they come fully stocked because a lot of our renters are coming from out of town, right? So they don't have to worry about cookware, they don't have to worry about linens, towels. You know, basically bring your luggage, bring your clothes, and then go to the grocery store, and everything else is covered. So I think this one's already stocked with some stuff. So,
oh, cool.
You know, here's just an example of we call them a basket with, you know, your coffee press, your cutting board, all your utensils.
Basically all the things that you would see in like an Airbnb if you rented an Airbnb.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yep. And then even some extra things. I think in here we have, you know, called the adventure drawer, right? Sometimes you forget about, you know, what you look like when you're on the road. Some games, some cards, selfie stick, tire pressure gauge, headlamps, stuff that people who aren't used to camping maybe wouldn't tend to bring. Sure. But it makes camping better when you have those things. All of our rentals come with a portable stove, which is really great. So you can take this outside. You can camp, cook out on the picnic tables, and you know, we set them up with propane, so you know, they have, you know, all the fuel they need to make meals on the road. And then also, you know, you make a meal, right? Maybe you don't want to always fire up the propane stove. You got a microwave for that.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go ahead and check out the back of the van.
Sure.
Awesome. Oh wow, so you have a lot of the same features that we just toured on the other van in the rentals as well.
Exactly, right? So again, wheel wells on opposite sides. It makes sense for balance to electrical on one side, water on the other. And then just depending on what side the sink's on is usually where we put the water system. So on the other one it was flipped. But yeah, so this is a typical rental setup. We're running 400 amp hours of lithium batteries, 3,000 watt inverter, and all the stuff to make it happen. Sure. So it's very, very easy. The only thing a renter would maybe have to do with the electrical system is if they overload it, like at home, they plug in a blow dryer, right? Maybe they flip a breaker. You know, it's very simple to just reset. Sure. But again, everything's on display.
Yep. And then it looks like you give renters a couple of chairs, you give them a little table, they've got obviously the shower set up, they can plug in if they go to like, what, an RV park or something like that? Exactly. Okay. Yeah, very cool. And then, I mean, they're literally set up. They can come rent the van. So then talk to me a little bit about how much does it cost to rent a van like this?
Sure. So it depends on length of trip, time of year, which van they rent. This one typically runs between $200 and $250 a night, depending on season again. Yep. But yeah, like right now, this is busy season. So I think we're running at $229 a night. There are some extra fees like you would have with an Airbnb, right? There's a $80 cleaning fee, but most people are spending 4 to 5 nights out in these, and they're spending about $1,000.
Okay, cool. And then where is your average client going? I mean, like, obviously we're in Arizona right now, so they come in here. Do a lot of people live here? Are they traveling here? And then where are they going? Are they going up to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, so a lot of people are coming from out of state, so it's really cool because we have a great backyard. So some people are coming in and they've never been to the Grand Canyon, they've never been to Sedona, Lake Powell, Zion. So we call that the loop. The usual is Sedona, maybe Flagstaff, up to Lake Powell. Maybe they'll hit the Grand Canyon or Zion and come back. So that's kind of our typical loop, but these vans have been everywhere from the Arctic Circle to New York to the Florida Keys.
Yeah. And do you have mileage limits? I mean, can they come to Arizona and drive this thing all the way to Florida if they wanted to?
I mean, they can. We do 200 miles a day cumulative.
Okay.
And so that's going to be for the length of the trip. So call it a minimum trip is 3 nights, 4 days, 800 miles. But if they go over that, it's 25 cents a mile over. We're pretty loose with that, but you do have to have some restrictions sometimes.
Sure, and I'm sure you would prefer if they would tell you in advance that they were planning to do that, right?
Yeah, we have a great relationship with the renters. We find out where they're going, where they're from. There's a whole 45-minute or so tour to go over how all this works when they get here, to get them feeling comfortable, and we get to know them pretty well. Sometimes people will even call us on the road and be like, hey, should I go here or there? Or do you know a good camping spot around Zion National Park? And we're always happy to help.
Literally walk me through, I see this video and I want a van.
Sure.
What do I do?
You either email us, you call us, you're going to talk with David or Ryan, our sales guy up front, and he's going to walk you through the process. He's going to ask you, do you have a van? Do you not have a van? Maybe you have some ideas from looking at our website that you can go through a van builder and say, hey, we chose these features, because we do have a van builder on our website as well. So having that, those kind of questions initially of like, what kind of van do you have? What if you do have one, that's great. If you don't have one, what chassis is it?
Yep.
And then you would start saying, okay, well, here's a layout that I like, and then we put it into a quote, and then go through the quote process, and that's gone through 5-6 times with you guys, and there's always changes to it before your build starts. You say, I agree to everything on the quote. I love, how we're going to put this together. You sign off on it, and then you get on our build list. Yep. Right now, we are booked out into 2025, but once your build slot comes available, let's say you're December 1, then you're literally picking your van up 5 weeks from that day.
Wow.
Right?
How many total vans have you guys built?
We are coming up on 400 vans that we've built.
Wow.
Yeah, since day one.
That's a lot of vans.
It's a lot of vans,
yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun, and just looking forward to building the next 4,000.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 600 more to go, and you're at 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think you can hit it by what, 2026, 2027?
600 vans. 2027 would probably be the number, but maybe we will take that challenge and we'll try to get it done before 2026.
I like it. Okay, good deal. What would your recommendation be to an entrepreneur trying to get a business off the ground, trying to get started in anything, any type of business? Like, what did you do in the very beginning to kind of get the ball rolling?
I would say the number one thing is paralysis by analysis happens to so many entrepreneurs, that they have an idea that may just be swimming around in their head, right? So maybe the first thing, write it down. Write out a business plan. You hear it so many times. Write out a business plan, get something going, get it down on paper that you can physically see. Because with that initial business plan, you might see flaws in it that you didn't think about in your head, or a lot of additions, which happen. There's a lot of things that you just didn't think about until you start getting it down on paper and seeing the gaps in between there where you need to fit a lot of processes, and then just execute it. But execute it at a lean startup style. Like, if you want to go do it, you might have a really great idea, but going and getting a bunch of investment, asking your parents for money, or doing a bunch of craziness like that could really, spoil the experience, I would think. David and I, we bootstrapped it from the beginning, that we wanted to have it where we just started, and if it failed on us.
Yep.
And we weren't worried about like owing somebody else some money, or a bank, or a family member or a friend or something like that. So I think it also inherently just made it so, hey, this is all on us. This is on us. We get to be super proud of it. So I think that would be the two biggest things: is if you want to start, get something down on paper, but then also think of the leanest startup model that you can do, and what is your MVP, your minimum viable product that you can come to market with and show it to people. How do you show it to people? Stevie is, we still have it here for no real reason other than like maybe we're having a hard time, letting go of that, letting go of the initial van that we built. But I'd say that Stevie was it. That was our MVP. We started with that van. David and I built it together. He put the thing on a credit card. So David owed some people some money.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I brought the funds to build out with all the materials. We built it in the warehouse of the company I was running at the time.
Yeah.
So that was as lean as we could possibly do it, and it started getting rented out. And we started having experiences from customers coming back to us and telling us how great of a trip they had and what this really meant to them. And we really kind of saw like we had something there with the minimal viable product that we had.
Thank you so much for staying till the end of the video. I'll link all of their information down in the description below. So if you want to rent one of their vans, or if you're interested in potentially buying one of their vans, you can go check out the link down below, go to their website, give them a call, reach out to them. Brett and David are absolutely awesome. And again, I appreciate you staying to the end of the video. So if you are still watching, do me a massive favor. Subscribe and smash the like button. It helps us so much with the channel, and we can continue to bring you phenomenal videos day after day, week after week. Thank you again, and we'll see you in a future video.